Erik II the Memorable was King of Denmark between 1134 and 1137. Erik was an illegitimate son of Erik I of Denmark, who ruled Denmark from 1095 to 1103. Erik the Memorable rebelled against his uncle Niels of Denmark, and was declared king in 1134. He punished his adversaries severely, and rewarded his supporters handsomely. He was killed by a subject in 1137 and was promptly succeeded by his nephew Erik III of Denmark. Biography. Erik was born around 1090, to King Erik I of Denmark and an unknown concubine. He was given some Danish isles by his half-brother Canute Lavard, and was Jarl of Mon, Lolland, and Falster. When Lavard was murdered in 1131, Erik joined his half-brother Harald Kesje in a rebellion against the responsible King Niels of Denmark. Erik was elected Danish anti-king in Scania in April 1131, which prompted Kesje to support Niels in jealousy. Erik's army lost several battles against Niels and his son Magnus the Strong, including Jelling in Jutland in 1131 and Verbro in Zealand, and he fled to Scania. His retreat earned him the nickname Harefoot. Erik unsuccessfully tried to convince Lothair III, Holy Roman Emperor, to support his bid for kingship, and had no luck asking Magnus IV of Norway for help. He returned to Scania in 1134, where Archbishop Asser of Lund joined his cause, and Lothair eventually supported him as well. In 1134, he defeated King Niels' entire army at the Battle of Fotavik in Scania, with the crucial help of German mounted mercenaries, and Niels died within the year. King of Denmark. Erik was proclaimed king at Scania's Landsting Assembly at St. Libber's Hill, and made Lund his capital city. With the resounding victory at Fotavik, Erik was given the nickname the Memorable to replace Harefoot. Kesje returned to Denmark, and was proclaimed king at Ernehoved Landsting in Schleswig. Erik chased him down and killed Kesje and his sons, of whom only Olaf Haraldsson escaped with his life. He then sought to consolidate and legitimize his rule. He gave titles and privileges to his supporters, and proclaimed Asser's nephew as Bishop Eskil of Roskilde. He initiated the process of getting his half-brother Canute Lavard canonized, and established an abbey at Ringsted to document reports of miracles at Canute's grave. Erik wanted to establish the divine right of kings, and canonizing Canute would support his claim on the throne. Canute was finally canonized in 1170. Erik was known as a harsh king to his enemies. In the summer of 1136, Erik undertook a crusade against the pagan population on the Baltic island of Rügen and its capital Arkona. He ordered his men to dig a canal between the city and the rest of the island. The canal had the effect of drying up the spring which supplied Arkona with drinking water. Arkona was forced to surrender, but in 1135, before this success in Arkona, Erik defeated in a naval battle near Denmark's coast the Slavs under Duke Ratibor, who had sacked Roskilde, and a year later, after the Battle of Konunga sacked this city too. He joined Magnus for an unsuccessful campaign in Norway, where he managed to burn down Oslo. When he learned that Eskil had raised the nobles of Zealand against him, Erik raced north to put down the rebellion which spread rapidly across Funen and Jutland, and fined Eskil heavily. The death of Erik, as told by Harald Huitfeldt, a harsh and unpopular ruler. Erik died at Ernehoved Landsting in 1137. King Erik was struck down by a local nobleman, Sortplov. According to legend, Sortplov asked permission to approach the king, carrying a spear in his hand with a block of wood protecting the tip. Having deemed that King Erik wore no mail underneath his tunic, Sortplov kicked off the protection and drove his spear right through the king. King Erik's nephew Erik Håkonsson stepped forward with sword in hand, but the nobleman told him to calm down. seeing as how Erik was next in line for the throne, being the only adult male in the royal family. Put away thine mace, young Erik, a juicy piece of meat hath fallen in thine bowl. According to legend, Sortplov escaped with his life. Erik was killed on the 18th of July 1137. He was buried at Ribe Cathedral. Erik Håkonsson was then crowned Erik III of Denmark. Issue. Sometime before 1130, Erik married Malmfrid of Kiev, the daughter of Grand Duke Mstislav I of Kiev and Christina Ingest, daughter of Sweden. Malmfrid was the former wife of King Sigurd I of Norway. With his concubine Thuna, Erik had the illegitimate son Sweyn, who would later become king as Sweyn III of Denmark. Ancestry.